I Want to Jump Like Dee Dee, with me, Giles Sibbald, is the music podcast that does music a bit differently. I'm talking to some incredible musicians, DJs and producers about how they use an experimental mindset to fuel their own creativity, pursue new challenges, overcome fears, bounce back from mistakes. Okay, so I'm really excited that today I've got one of my fave musicians, and really, one of the most self-sufficient independent artists I know. She makes her music, merch, and artwork look, kind of like effortlessly cool. Really kind of aspirational, like you want to be in the gang, and like she's having a lot of fun doing it. And the really important thing is that she's doing it on her own terms. And check this out, she's also got her own GIF. So if that doesn't make you really want to put this episode on repeat, favorite, and stick candles on it, then I'm kind of done. So for me, it's a massive welcome to Colleen Green. Colleen, thank you so much for coming on, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Not at all. So I love your t-shirts. You make your kind of t-shirt and design your t-shirts yourself. And like one that I really love is and I don't know when it was made, when you made it, but it says on the front, really simple: did I ever send you shirts? I think I did. Maybe I didn't. Sorry about that. And I thought, like, to me, I mean, it's just like sort of really simple, but it kind of shows like a very personal side to them. It's funny, but it's also like very kind of personal side.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a direct quote.
Was it?
From me. Yeah, this guy in Germany ordered a t-shirt, and I forget what he originally wanted me to paint on the t-shirt, but I have to plug in my phone already. I was just in the record store for an hour getting my ear talked off, so it's
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so I had a t-shirt order from this guy, and I guess I do have a pretty organized system of keeping track of all the orders, but I guess that one just slipped through the cracks. And after a few months, it must have been, hopefully not too many more than that, but I emailed the guy because it kind of popped in my head, and I was just like, hey, did I ever make your shirt? Did you ever get a shirt from me? I think I did, but maybe I didn't, so sorry about that. And he was just like, you know what, I did not, but I love this email so much that I'm gonna change my order, and now I want a t-shirt that says that on it. So that t-shirt is one of a kind.
That's how it sort of got into the sort of record book of fame.
Yeah, totally.
Now you got, if we just like start off with, maybe just sort of talk about your new record to kind of start with, because it seems that we sort of should do, which is out at the beginning of September. I think September 10th, isn't it?
Yep.
And is called Cool.
Yes.
This is your first one for first sort of LP for about 3 years? Yeah,
I guess. I mean, my first proper LP in about 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And you maybe just sort of talk us through, the sort of the subjects that are kind of going on in there, how it's been sort of since that last record.
Okay. Well, I think that this record is a pretty proper follow-up to I Want to Grow Up.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I Want to Grow Up is kind of a concept album. It didn't really like start out that way, but it kind of just ended up that way. And it's kind of like my admission of these are all the things that I'm not happy with in my life.
Yeah.
Or unhappy with about myself. And here it is, like putting it out on the table. This is what has to change. And so I think a big reason that it's been so long between albums for me is that I've been working on all that stuff. I've been trying at least to work on all that stuff that I talked about, just being fed up with on that. And yeah, I'm still working on it. Now it's 6 years later, and I think yeah, just once I kind of like got all those thoughts and feelings off my chest with I Want to Grow Up, the door was kind of opened immediately, almost, for me to just start, like, recognition is the first step, and then you can finally actually, like, once you put words to it and you actually like get it out in the open, you can start actually trying to take action. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I kind of have been doing in the interim. And a lot of, I think I've come a long way, and Cool is kind of definitely like an answer, definitely a follow-up to I Want to Grow Up. Where I'm like, it's not like it's maybe not the last installment, but it's an intermediary for sure. If you've been following me on my journey, Cool, like, this is my progress report.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, with that, I mean, one thing that I wanted to talk about was, was your formative influences, or sort of on your mind, because you to me seem to have, very, kind of like independent way of working, this sort of DIY ethos, and sort of with this, writing Cool, did you find yourself, kind of going back to those sort of formative influences and, to sort of understand, what your journey as to where you've kind of got to?
My musical influences?
Anything that sort of influenced your kind of being, whether it's your sort of musical career or whatever, just about you.
I honestly, people have been asking me this question, and I don't know.
You don't know? Yeah.
Like I said, I kind of started writing for Cool pretty much immediately after I Want to Grow Up, and even in some cases before I Want to Grow Up.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and a lot of it was written like such a long time ago that I don't even know what I was thinking at that time. And I know I was still smoking a lot of weed, which I no longer smoke weed, but for the past couple years. But yeah, it's I don't even know.
Maybe it's just like, go on.
I wouldn't really know how to answer that question, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, so maybe let's say, I mean, kind of going back to when you were growing up, when you were sort of younger. I mean, what if you, like, how you now looking back to when you were sort of younger, what was kind of influencing you, as you were sort of growing up, and and how you then got into music.
Music has always influenced me a lot. I mean, I feel like from an early age, I was always really interested in music and songwriting and performing.
Yeah.
And I think the relationships that I've had in my life since I was young have influenced me a lot, just even as just a person, which obviously, but I think that I take a lot of my personal experiences with other people, like in my family, friends, lovers. I think I'm a person who's really affected by personal relationships.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And sort of, and again, sort of going back, did you sort of find your your kind of like identity sort of changing as you sort of got older, and as your sort of environment changed and the people that you hung out with?
Yeah, definitely. I think moving very far away from my hometown influenced a lot too.
Yeah, because you moved to LA, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm from Massachusetts, and I moved to California in 2008.
Yeah.
and I was there for almost 12 years. I actually just moved back to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of realizing that I'm also a person who kind of changes their life every 2 years or so. I feel like that's kind of a good thing for people to do. I mean, I think moving away, especially moving to LA in 2009, I moved there as the result of a health crisis, which was another really big influence on me.
Of course.
In my life. And yeah, just being in a new city that I'd never spent time in before, having nobody and not really knowing anybody, not knowing how to make friends for a really long time, and just having so much time to myself. I feel like now that like the majority of people have experienced like extreme isolation over the past year or so. I think more people can kind of like understand what I went through. Those years in LA, like this past, 2020, I was like, no big deal. I've been there, done that, so yeah, I think that had a really, really big influence on me, my life, and my music for sure. I think it's really important for people to get out there, and luckily nowadays it's so much easier for people to go anywhere, and the world is very small at this point. But I think it's really important for a developing brain to get out there, experience different cultures, different ways of thinking, even if it's just throughout America. I mean, if you can't go internationally, like even just going from the East Coast to the West Coast, or north to the South, it's vastly different. And I think it's important to like change your perspective once in a while.
I remember years ago when I first left home, which was to go to uni in Liverpool to study there. And I remember my mum saying, "You could not wait to get out of here." I kind of grew up in a sort of smallish town. It's got a lot bigger now, but at the time it was sort of quite a sort of smallish town in the north of England. And actually, I mean, at the time it kind of hurt, but I think looking back now, she was right. I really just kind of wanted to leave, to kind of get out and start doing some different things. And I kind of never really looked back from there. That was kind of it, and was away. And almost like, when it came to the holidays, it was just like, oh God, I've got to go home and blah 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 and all this sort of stuff. But that was like a kind of formative thing, I think, to almost like start on the trail and find yourself.
Yeah.
So how long have you been back in sort of Massachusetts now? It's about
since November.
November, okay, yeah. And how is it sort of being back now?
It's been pretty great. It's been lonely. Like I missed all my friends in LA, and it's been a big adjustment. But I mean, I love New England, and I am really happy to be back here. I'm really happy to just be living on my own. Honestly, that was something that I was just getting so sick of in LA, because you can barely afford to live there if you have roommates. But here I can afford to live by myself, which is really, really great. But then at the same time, it's kind of lonely. So I think, but it's like I said, like I feel like I kind of wiped the slate clean. And that's kind of what had to happen. I was really comfortable in LA, and it was really fun. It was kind of a party like all the time. And I think that it was a little bit too much fun. And I think for a long time, I was realizing that I kind of needed to leave the party and kind of just move on in some kind of way. And so yeah, I think that moving back here was a really good move for me. I think it's gonna show itself to be really, really good. I'm sure. Right now it's difficult, but I
I mean, do you think that in your kind of like outlook on life, and some of your, and perhaps some of for example, like your songwriting as well, that the influence and impact of that time in LA is gonna sort of show through?
maybe.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know, do you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah, go on.
it's all part of my experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure it'll. I actually have a side project pop punk band
Okay.
that I've been getting more into lately, and I just
Mm.
decided I'm gonna actually put something out and
Okay.
not just like a little joke band or whatever. I mean, it's still a joke, but yeah, I've been writing silly songs about like LA stereotypes.
Okay.
So it's influenced me in that way, at least.
So how long has that band been going?
It's not even it hasn't been real. I'm trying to make it real
You're trying to make it real, right?
because I might as well. But it's been a couple years, I guess, at least 1 year. Because I tried to start it before COVID, but it was supposed to be. It originally started out as a Screeching Weasel cover band for Halloween. Me and my friend Wit.
Yeah.
And then we decided we should just write original songs because he had some and I had some. But he's a pretty successful comedian.
Yeah.
And career is kind of taking off right now. And it's just, that's another thing with LA. It's like there's so many talented musicians and people that you could potentially collaborate with, but everybody's really busy and everybody's doing their own, hustling really hard. So that was kind of like what killed our pop punk band. But I recently decided I'm going to make it happen anyway.
So it's interesting you mentioned about collaborations, because I guess that at least to me is something that you haven't done in the past. You sort of worked kind of solo. So was this like a, I don't know, like a sort of conscious decision? I mean, a conscious decision to work with somebody else to perhaps bring in different influences? How did it sort of come about?
Originally?
Yeah.
Like the original decision to be
to sort of collaborate. Yeah.
Wait, to collaborate or to
to collaborate, yeah. Because I guess I'm thinking it's kind of quite going from solo to then collaborating is quite a big deal.
Yeah, and it still hasn't happened. So
yeah, so it might not work. In true sort of collaboration style, it might not work.
Yeah, I feel I have felt in the past very shy about sharing music. I think I'm in a better place now with that, but it still is kind of personal.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought it would be fun to collaborate with my friend Wit, and we both like have similar musical styles. In the end, I think his songs that he was writing were a lot more like kind of like whiny emo pop punk.
Right. Yeah.
Like straight up stupid 3-chord pop punk.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it ever really would have worked out, but yeah, I don't know. I still don't think I'm gonna be collaborating with anyone in the near future.
I mean, if it's not sort of too personal a question, feel free not to answer. But is this sort of shy that you said about sort of shyness in sharing music? Is that kind of part of who you are? Because like if I look at me, for example, I mean, I was like, when I was growing up, I was incredibly shy. I didn't want to stand out or in any way have the give people the opportunity to basically sort of take the piss out of me or to kind of mock me or anything like that. didn't want that. So I tried to kind of conform and just to, you know, sort of sit in that kind of middle ground and stuff like that. I mean, that is that sort of shyness to share music, is that sort of part of who you are, do you think?
Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way as what you just said. I am kind of yeah, I'm kind of worried about judgment, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm worried. I wouldn't say I'm afraid of people, and definitely not now.
Yeah.
Like I'll like talk to anybody now, but
Mm.
as a kid and like growing up and even as a teenager, I was definitely afraid of people.
Yeah. I was like that judgment. Yeah, that was something that kind of plagued me for a long time, you know, about, you know, what other people thought. And it's
Yeah.
interesting sort of doing these sort of podcasts and you know, sometimes talking to people who you would think, oh no, they don't give a shit what people think, but they do, you know. And it's funny, isn't it, that you know, we're all kind of, it sounds really sort of simple and trite, but we're all kind of human beings, and we have the same, you know, kind of issues and sort of fears, and that, you know, kind of fear of judgment, that you're sort of not good enough. And especially I feel sometimes, for me, when I go and do something different, I feel, you know, this kind of like imposter. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. That's not me.
Yeah.
Kind of can't do that.
Yeah. I feel that way too a lot. I mean, I don't know. I guess a lot of people feel that way. I just feel like I wasn't like raised with a lot of confidence.
Mm.
Yeah, I've always been pretty self-conscious.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
am, but it's sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Like I forget what you just said, but I was like, yeah, sometimes I feel like that, but sometimes like caring what other people think. Like
Mm.
sometimes, or like half of me doesn't care at all,
Yeah.
and half of me does. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I hear you with that. There's always that one sort of situation, like, you know, if you kind of asked to sort of go into a room and it's a load of people that you don't know, and asked to, you know, kind of socialize that, like, I mean, I'll do it, but I can think of 1,000 places I'd rather be than doing that.
Yeah.
Just like, oh no.
Yeah, like a wedding or something where you don't know anybody.
God.
Like,
Yeah. Awful.
But that's why there's hopefully an open bar at any wedding.
Yes.
That's the least they can do. But
Absolutely.
I think I'm getting better at that too, because I'm kind of just realizing in my old age that, like, who fucking cares?
Who cares anyway? Yeah. I think
You have to kind of remind yourself.
Yeah.
On a pretty regular basis.
I find that as well, you know, sort of keep kind of talking to yourself and saying, look, and nobody else cares. They're kind of they've got their own shit to deal with, not about you.
Yeah.
Not all about you, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
How about
if they do, fuck them, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Do you find yourself, do you rely on your you know, kind of gut instinct quite a lot? Is that an important thing for you?
Yeah, and that's something that I've been learning more and more over the years too.
Yeah.
And that's yeah, that's something that I've been thinking about, because it's been coming up in interviews, like why why the name Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have been learning over the years that my instincts are good, my ideas are good, like my taste is good, and to just like trust my judgment and not second guess myself, because
Yeah.
the question was like, where did the title of Cool come from?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, over the years writing songs, you know, you start off with a riff or a melody, and it's like, I don't know, that's not that good. Like, I'm sure I can think of something better. And you just try to think of something better.
Mm.
And I just feel like I always end up going back to the original thing that I had.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of it. It's like, go with your instincts. Like your
Yeah,
instincts are
same.
good. It's always the first or most obvious choice sometimes is just the best one.
I sometimes find like myself as an introvert, and it's like I had to be really persuaded to start this podcast. I thought it was a brilliant idea to do it, and I really wanted to do it, and then but I was finding all sorts of reasons not to do it, putting it off, do something else. There's something really dull that suddenly became more important than starting this. But I would, so like kind of as an introvert, I would so many times just sort of let my ideas be kind of, I wouldn't say sort of shot down, but kind of overridden. Say, okay, well, I'll kind of go with it. Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, and then something would happen. I was, fuck it, I wish I just sort of trusted my instincts there. Why didn't you do it? And you just end up getting like kind of so frustrated.
Yeah.
You kind of hadn't done that. And like if you mentioned about kind of going back to kind of what you sort of first wrote. If you kind of get something, then you move on. How do you feel like when you about things that as you're creating them that go wrong, or it doesn't work out how you think of it, how you think it should do? Does it frustrate you, or do you just kind of use that to kind of build on it and improve it?
When you're trying to write a song and it's not going how you
Yeah, and it doesn't work. Yeah, it's just not kind of hitting the mark. Do you sort of throw your guitar against the wall and stuff?
Huh?
You throw your guitar against the wall and stuff, or do you?
Oh, no way. Happy
No,
birthday.
absolutely not the guitar.
Yeah, I usually get really, really frustrated and just like stop, just walk away. Cause I can't I don't know. I'm not the type of person that will just like keep doing it over and over and over and over until I get it right.
Yeah.
Like I would drive myself crazy. So
Yeah.
I'll probably stop and like go do something else, go for a
Yeah.
walk or watch TV, or because that's usually when the ideas come to me. Like if I'm working on something and I'm trying to figure out a part or figure out a transition or a lyric or something like that, it's like nothing good is going to come from just like sitting there staring at the notepad or just playing it over and over, because it's just like, yeah, you're kind of in the hamster wheel and you're not going there. But yeah, I think it can be helpful just like take a shower or go for a walk around the block, or just go out in nature, something like that, and just be kind of like totally alone with your thoughts. Those are times when I've had some of like my biggest breakthroughs, I feel like.
Yeah, and you sort of see things in a different light, and I think sometimes as as a sort of society, we now, because everything is we need things immediately, and it's like, okay, well, why isn't this ready, or why haven't I got that now, and stuff like that. That can be kind of quite hard for creative people, because it doesn't just happen. It takes time to sort of evolve, and I think that I kind of noticed that like people who are not in kind of creative industries don't perhaps understand that as well. It's like, okay, well, this does take time. Why is it taking that long? Well, it just kind of does.
Yeah, and you really can't force it, or at least I can't force it, because I feel like you can kind of tell when it has been forced.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Let it kind of evolve and come naturally.
Yeah. And I think kind of like one of the things I've been looking at with how we sort of live now is this kind of, I kind of call it like a multi-stage life. So like when my folks were growing up, it was like, it was like 3-stage. You kind of go to school, you work, and then you retire, and that was kind of it. And now we're kind of like living longer and longer. We're kind of generally sort of working longer. I think a lot more sort of different skills that we need. And like one of the one of the big ones I think is that people haven't had in the past that perhaps do need now is like adaptability, being able to adapt to sort of different kind of circumstances. You know, kind of like this sort of very volatile world, you know, and kind of like uncertain world that we're living in. And I think that perhaps, you know, kind of, you know, musicians have been living with that for, you know, kind of like forever. You know, that's that sort of adaptability. Do you feel that is like a kind of skill or something that you've been able to use?
Yeah, I think I'm very adaptable.
Mm.
I definitely had to adapt to living in a new city, living in a new state.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had to adapt, like, yeah, lots of times over my life.
And so, yeah, go on. No, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think that these are, you know, kind of like adaptability, you know, kind of curiosity, and especially like kind of curiosity. It seems quite an obvious one, but it's sometimes kicked out of you at a sort of early age. And I'm thinking about, you know, a lot of people that it sounds like a generalization, but sort of perhaps, you know, go to work in a, you know, kind of 9 to 5, that you sort of have your job to do, and then, but also when you go to school, that, you know, it's about passing your exams and things like that, and the curiosity is kind of kicked out of you. But I think it's just sort of really, really important to, you know, be able to, you know, to sort of fuel this adaptability, you know, and kind of curiosity. I think is a really, really important thing. And again, I think it's something that musicians probably have anyway as a kind of core.
I think it's important to challenge yourself too.
Yeah.
Because you never really know how you'll be able to, or if you'll be able to adapt to a situation until you're in it.
You know, as we get older, you become a bit more, well, generally people become a bit more risk averse, so less willing to kind of take risks. You know, so it's almost like this kind of cycle that you get locked into. Okay, I'm getting older now. I don't want to take that risk. That's a kind of big change for me. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But how do you sort of find things going for you as you sort of get older?
I think change is always good. And I think that experiences are good, even if they're bad.
Yeah.
You seem bad in the moment. I think, I don't know. I've kind of had to convince myself over the years that, like, no matter what, everything will be okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of do feel like I'm maybe like touched by an angel or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, and I have to acknowledge that I feel very like privileged, and I am very grateful and appreciative for like my life and everything that I have and everything that I've been through. But I've been through some really difficult times, and I feel like at this point, I feel like I can do anything and still come out on the other side and like gonna be okay. So I just kind of always have to like remind myself of that. And kind of live life by that. And it does help. But yeah, I think that all experiences are good. Every experience is an opportunity to learn and grow. And that's what I want most in my life. So
are you okay to sort of talk a little bit about, you know, your condition, your medical condition, that has perhaps it sort of impacted your outlook as well? Yeah.
That's like one of the things in my life that's impacted me the most.
Yeah. How have you, you know, kind of found yourself, you know, adapting to that sort of over the years?
Um, well, I don't know. It was really, really hard at first. I mean,
Mm,
I had always been really healthy. I never had any health problems. I don't even have
yeah.
any cats.
Mm,
And all of a sudden at age 24, 25, it's like it was like a major crash.
yeah.
Like, um, and it went, my health went downhill very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And it was out of the blue. It was really scary.
Mm,
Like, I was out living in Oakland with a bunch of my friends. Like, my family was nowhere near.
yeah.
And yeah, nobody knew what was going on. It was just really, really scary. And I didn't even have health insurance at the time, because like I said, I was always really healthy. It's like, I
Yeah.
don't need, I'm just gonna be in my band and like be a bum my whole life and don't need health insurance. All of a sudden I'm in the hospital all the time, and like
Yeah.
all these tests, and like feeling like a guinea pig,
Yeah.
and just not knowing what was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, obviously I still have a lot of emotions about that happening to me. And yeah, it was just a huge shock.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like we were just talking about, I had to adapt to it. I had to just kind of
Mm,
do whatever I thought was best for myself, I guess. And that ultimately is what brought me to LA,
yeah.
which, going to LA is probably the best thing I ever did in my life.
Yeah.
Because even though that was the worst thing that ever happened to me, in a lot of ways it was the best thing that ever
The
happened
best
to me.
thing as well. Yeah.
Totally changed my life,
Yeah.
totally changed my perspective.
Yeah.
And I came out on the other side. I mean, there was a moment where I had, like, flashes of my own mortality. It's
Yeah.
like, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I came out, and I'm pretty much fine now.
Mm,
I feel like I have a great career. Like,
yeah.
I'm so happy. And um, again, yeah, you don't know how you're going to be able to deal with a situation until you get put in it.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I guess, I don't know, I'm proud of myself ultimately for how I did
Absolutely.
deal with that situation. And I had a lot of help. I had a lot of people that really care about me that
Yeah.
help.
I think that the sort of strength and resilience that you've shown, to come through it, to and to live with it, and to um see the positives, and is incredible. I think kind of resilience is an amazing thing for that you've shown, to do that.
Yeah. And Colleen Green, really, like, it's like I don't know, I'm a Scorpio, so I always think of, like, when I read about the imagery of like the phoenix rising from the ashes, that's like a symbol of Scorpio, and I just really relate to that.
I
Because
I am rubbish at star signs, what they mean. I'm an Aries, and I have no idea what it means. I read it and then I forget it. So tell me about a Scorpio. What's a Scorpio
yeah,
sort of
I don't
trait?
know too much about it either, but I just feel like, I don't know, I guess it's pretty trendy now in general, but like, I just feel like once you move to California, they kind of just hand you a book and say, read this. uh but Scorpio, I don't know, it's a water sign. Scorpios are very sensitive.
Mm,
They're very perceptive, intuitive, very sensitive to like other people's energies,
yeah,
um, creative. But that is one big one big like emblem of Scorpio is the phoenix rising from the ashes. Scorpio is all about death and rebirth. Like you might, and I feel like that was totally a rebirth. Like I feel like that kind of like era of my life died.
Yeah.
And then I moved to LA and kind of like started completely anew. And started my new life. And it's one of the best things that ever happened in my life, you know?
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to roll with those punches, I guess, and just do your best and try to stay positive.
Which you totally have, you know, and I think you know, it's just sort of, you know, with a new record coming out as well, you know, what you were saying about the you know, kind of looking inwards into yourself and talking about these things, you know, I really hope that has sort of helped, you know, in handling and living with this, you know, which, you know, and you know, kind of like all sort of power to you for, you know, for doing that.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, that's like what I want to grow up is all about, pretty much.
Yeah.
Is like the culmination of all those thoughts and feelings that I had while I was going through this. And I did have a lot of time to just sit and think, and that's kind of what made me realize that I needed to start taking care of myself better and start taking responsibility for my own actions and take responsibility for what happens to me.
Yeah. Do you think it also, you know, has led you to sort of declutter your life? You know, kind of like, you know, take out the stuff that you don't need so you can really sort of focus on yourself.
What is the question?
Sorry, it's my accent. I get this all the time. No, do you think that this has allowed you to declutter your life? You know, kind of like get rid of the stuff that you don't need to give yourself the space to think about you and what you need in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely offered an opportunity for me to try and recognize what kind of wasn't serving me.
Yeah.
And yeah, decluttering, like maybe even in a spiritual way. I mean, when I moved to LA, I really didn't have much at all.
Yeah.
Any material possessions, and I think that was a good thing. Because it was like physical proof that I was starting over, kind of.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like those first couple years in LA were kind of cluttered with emotions, and just like thoughts. But I think, yeah, over the years, I've definitely been cleaning house.
Yeah.
Good.
Which is really good, isn't it?
At least, yeah.
Some things happen quicker than others, don't they?
Yeah.
And you've still got on the new record, you've still got your wonderful drum machine.
No.
Why?
Yeah, my friend Brendan Etter played drums.
Right. Okay.
But I wanted. So, did you hear those two singles and think it was a drum machine? Wow. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I made all my demos with drum machines, and I knew that. I mean, I think it was even before I realized that I wanted to work with Gordon Raphael.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to kind of emulate the Strokes in that way, where you can't really tell if it's a drum machine or a live drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, some music journalists that have heard the entire album were really surprised when I told them that it was not a drum machine.
Right. I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't. I'm not making that. I didn't know. I thought it was a drum machine.
That's awesome. I'm glad, because that's what I was aiming for. I was like, I want
Brilliant.
it to be drums, but I want it to sound exactly like a drum machine. So mission accomplished. That's good to hear.
I remember a story about drum machines. It was about the Undertones years ago, and they obviously had a drummer. And I think there was a bit of friction between the drummer and Feargal Sharkey, who was the singer, you know, at that time. And I think he turned around to the drummer and he said, the good thing about drum machines is that they don't fucking talk back to you.
Exactly.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I think that like from the 2 tracks I've heard, I think that I love the songs, and I love what Gordon has done to them. I think you know, he's kind of got that sort of very he's given it that really sort of loose rhythmic feel that he gave to the you know, kind of personified the Strokes almost. I love it. I think it really adds something to what you're doing.
Thank you. I agree. Yeah, I'm really happy with this album.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, listen, Colleen, thank you so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you
for taking the time. Just stay on the line and for a second, and I'll just switch the recorder on.
Thanks for listening to the show, and I really hope that you enjoyed it and that you'll tune in for the next episode. In the meantime, it would be really awesome if you could rate and review the show, and also share it with any friends who you think might enjoy it.